Sharing a car can create stress, a bump in the road for even the best relationships. And here to help pave the way for car sharing couples is renowned marriage and family therapist Elizabeth Earnshaw, who is teaming up with Mazda to share details of a new car compatibility survey. Earnshaw is the author of I Want This to Work, and she often contributes to publications like the New York Times, USA Today, and the Washington Post. And welcome, Elizabeth. Let's drive into this first question here. What are some of the issues that impact a car sharing relationship?
So anytime couples are sharing something, there is the potential for conflict, right? And when we have these conflicts, sometimes they can become what we call in the therapy world perpetual problems. These are caused because there's differences in personality or preferences around the issue. So if you're sharing a vehicle, there's likely to be a lot of different preferences between you and the other person, right? It makes sense. And what we found in the Mazda study is that half of all American couples actually notice those differences, and they have conflict at least once a month because of conflict around their car. Luckily, the Mazda CX-70 has introduced new technology that really helps to take a lot of that tension and that stress away.
And how can this impact relationships?
There are a lot of ways that sharing a car and having conflict over that vehicle can impact relationships. Some of it is just in daily living. We feel frustrated when we get into the car and the seat isn't in the right position. And sometimes it's in more significant ways. So the Mazda study found that there's actually 1 in 10 American men who would be willing to end their relationship. It's a non-negotiable for them to be incompatible with their partner over the car. So there can be some pretty significant impacts. Luckily, the Mazda CX-70, which is a new 2-row crossover SUV, solves a lot of these problems through us. And one of the first ways that it does it is through the driver personalization system.
How does this system work?
It's pretty amazing. So every driver of the car has a driver profile within the driver personalization system. And as soon as they get into the car knows who they are, and it immediately adjusts to all of their settings. And so it will move the seat, it will adjust the mirrors, it will adjust the stereo, climate control. There's actually over 200 things that it can adjust. And then when another driver gets into that car, they will have their own driver profile that automatically adjusts the car into those preferences as well.
What else did the survey uncover? I'm curious about that.
Something else that the survey uncovered is that 1 out of 4 American couples would clean their car every single week if it meant that they could avoid conflict with their partner, which makes a ton of sense to me. I've shared a car with my husband, and let me tell you, it's hard to keep those things clean when we're sharing them. But with the Mazda CX-70, it's much easier to do because they have created a car that has 2 rows, a lot of space. It has a ton of cargo space and trunk room. And because of that, everything that your partner has, everything that you have, it can fit into that car in an organized way.
Can you provide some therapy advice for car sharing couples?
Absolutely. So if you're sharing a vehicle with each other and you're noticing that you're having some conflict, the first thing I would suggest is, instead of arguing with each other, try to figure out what your preferences are. When we have differences, we try to win sometimes against the other person. But instead, we want to create a relationship where we're both having our needs met. Luckily, with the Mazda CX-70, you don't have to think too much about it because it can negotiate those differences and preferences for you through their driver personalization system.
Where can we go for more information?
For more information, you can visit mazdausa.com.
Elizabeth, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.